and so forth and so on. But you'll find it interesting. Now, if I got a minute, I can answer a couple of questions, or am I completely out of time? I think we can go to some questions. There's a microphone up on your left-hand side up near the exit door. We ask people to line up to that microphone and ask their questions. This is the house nearing where we got the dirt we hauled out. We made a big parking lot out in front, hauled it all out. And a lot of this was just pick and shovel work, my wife and I working. And this was our clock. Those are mirrors around the periphery of the solarium, and they'd shine down during the day on the walls down inside the home, and we could tell within a minute or two what time it was. You know, we got pretty good at guessing the time. And the structure was super strong. We had a friend who was a retired building inspector come out, and he said, well, this thing's built 5 times over code. He says it may not be, conventional, but it's built 5 times over code. You can put, a 5-story building on top of that. You don't have to worry. So anyway, it was. I think it was a demonstration, and I was hoping this would be my laboratory so that we could get back to the work that we were doing with the car, but we ran low on money, and people thought everything I had was a good idea, but nobody wanted to do anything in those days. So I went back into locksmithing for a while, and then I retired again until Project Camelot pulled me out of the cave and said, no, let's talk about it again, see if people are interested. So now on the walls, later on, we put a 2-inch double wall with a kind of a loose side. I forget the name of it now. It's been so long ago. And we put God, I can't think today, an amplifier so we could amplify the light. We had lights, colored lights that we could change the colors of the walls behind it. So we could change it from blue or green or red or any color walls we wanted. It was quite simple to do. It was just making a double wall, and I had an amplifier. And then all our plumbing, all our electricity was underground. It's all underneath the sand. These are sand floors. And then we put carpet where it's necessary, where we felt it was. But we had it that way so that we could relocate the rooms. If we got tired of the kitchen on the left side of the house, we could move it to the right side just in a couple of hours. We could move the bathroom. We could move the kitchen and the bedrooms. We had no load-bearing walls. These are translucent walls, and they only went up 8 feet. Our ceiling was 9 feet, so we had circulation on the top. But anyhow, infinitum, that went on and on and on. I'm sorry, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'd like to know the shape of the crystals that you used in the gravity.
The shape of the crystals?
Yes.
Well, we tried to find, coincidentally, the double tetrahedrons, where they're double terminated crystals. And we'd go up into up around Flagstaff, into some of the old lava tubes and look for different tributaries that would lead us off into areas that we began to learn crystals were. And we used a lot of double terminated crystals. We couldn't always find enough that we needed, but they had like a diamond shape.
Right. And they were all quartz, and you mentioned
They
tourmaline.
weren't clear. They were quartz, white quartz, most of them.
White quartz.
White quartz.
Okay, and can you tell me the difference between kind of white quartz versus a normal quartz you'd find, say, like in Arkansas? Is there,
Yeah.
It's the same.
Sure,
okay.
crystal is crystal, no matter where you find it.
Okay.
And you just have to understand what crystals are and what they do and what they can do. Okay. We had tourmaline on there too, and I experimented with that, and I was able to produce electricity from tourmaline crystal. It will produce electricity.
Okay, and you talked about the light source that went through the crystal. You don't know what that light source was? Was that a laser? You mentioned a laser?
Oh, you mean on the ship? I'm
Yes.
sorry, on the ship. It was a circular globe. And there was a laser or bright, I'm pretty sure it was a laser coming up from the bottom. And as it came up, it just illuminated this entire...
So the crystal was circular. The crystal was circular in this.
Circular, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the crystals we put in the
No.
house. Okay, I'm sorry. It was circular.
Okay.
There was another guy that built a craft. He's on here. I'll just show you that really briefly. See if I can get down to him. His name was Chris. I forget his last name. And he went to the authorities. He went to the Navy with a craft that it was a boat. It could go up estuaries. It would never draw any more than 6 inches of water. And, oh gosh, where is it? Come on. Well, shoot. It's a lot of pictures. Yeah, it is. Well, my wife she was the one with the camera. If it had been up to me, we probably never got any pictures. She had to go out and take a picture of everything we did. Oh, I got to show you this guy. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. This is a craft. Turkey.
Is that the picture up on the left?
Yeah.
Okay, just double click on it.
Click on it. Okay. Anyhow, Chris went to the government with this craft that he built. It would never displace any more than 6 inches of water, which means they could have a military vehicle going up any estuary or any small river or tributary, and you could put 100,000 tons on it and it would never displace any more than 6 inches of water. And he proved that to them. He was down in Coronado, California. See if I can find that. Oh, I can't switch it now. Can I switch here?
Yeah.
This one?
This window. We're in a different program now.
I want to show you the craft in Coronado. This is the same craft. And he tried and tried to get them interested, and they said, "Oh, man, you can't do that," and so forth.
Which one is it?
And yeah, it's down at the bottom. Okay,
Yeah, that one there?
that's one of them. That's where he landed up. He landed up near us, up above Paulden in Arizona. After the government kept giving him such a hassle, he took this craft, and there's one on the water. This is the one I want.
Okay.
This is him in Coronado. If you can make it large. That's the craft. It never displaced any more than 6 inches of water. And so they thought, they just gave him a hard time. And he said, "Okay, boys, I've had it with you guys." And he went and sawed it into pie shapes, into wedges. He's got a lowboy truck. And he hauled it to Arizona, him and I guess he had some help with it, and put it on top of a remote mountain. I bought some land just across from him. That's how I got acquainted with him. And put this thing back together, and he says, "I'm going to live here till I die because nobody's interested in this technology." And he just died last year. So anyway, that's the way it goes. And I'm on my way out too, I suppose, one of these days. But before I go, I just hope you consider what I've talked about, using the mind, get out of the box. Don't use guesswork. It doesn't work anymore. And if you are interested in a better form of transportation and habitation, it's on its way. And I belong to several groups. We have a rather large group formulating and participating with this kind of activity on the big island of Hawaii. I can't talk too much about it now, but it's in operation, and we want to build floating homes. And I've got somebody that's with us now, so we're in a group. There's 6 of us, actually. Elizabeth Rauscher, I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's one of us. She's a nuclear physicist and been to Lawrence Livermore, been very, very famous in, in the science realm, that got to a point and said, this isn't going to go anymore. You've got to go to consciousness and raise it up higher, because science is going to go around and around and around forever until we get out of the box. She's one of us. There's 6 of us, and we're called the Elders of the Round Table. And I happen to be the oldest, so I'm the elder of the eldest of the round table, and Elizabeth is just under me. But anyway, they're all eager beavers, and they're dedicated. One of the guys, his name is Bob Blood. He built a magnetic motor. I went to his lab and I saw it. He fired it up. He had a 12-volt millimeter. It was drawing 12.5 or something. And he said, okay, now watch. And he started loading this up with 100-watt bulbs. And it never moved. The needle never moved. It just kept, no matter how much load he put on it, the needle never moved. And he said, well, now, you know, by this point in time, the motor should be hot. And I said, yeah, maybe. And he said, well, feel the motor. And it was ice cold. And it was moving, all moving parts, ice cold. So it was all magnetics. It was just 2 rotating, counter-rotating magnetic things. I had a device to show you, but I guess we can't find it. It was just a simple little device, and you can get one at Radio Shack. I just had a straw with 4 donut magnets on the straw, turned upside down so that the fields are opposing. And, you know, you can't put those together.
Is it somewhere in here?
No, she was going to look for it. I guess I didn't pack it, or it got lost. And in the center of that field, just like the Neutron, that's where all the power is. There's an enormous amount of power in a magnetic field right in the center. And we've been looking at it all our lives, and we've never seen it. And that's the way our hovercraft operate, on pure magnetism, not electromagnetism, not anti-gravity, and none of that. It's pure magnetism. It's very, very simple in the operation. And I just will go one more step and tell you that we have these things now available. They're waiting in the wings for people to accept us, to accept the technology. It has to do with esoteric psychology, esoteric science, into the realms of the ethers, if you will, ether technology. It hasn't got anything to do with the conventional stuff. So we're still getting opposition. But if they will allow us to just keep going the way we're going right now, within, I'd say, 2 years, you're going to see us all over the place with crowd. And we intend to do that. And that's my job. I'm not going to go anywhere until it's done. So, I'm sorry.
How does your craft levitation work relate to Searle Disc and your house work to Buckminster Fuller's work?
How what?
How does it relate or compare?
Oh, to the house?
The house to the Buckminster Fuller's work, and
Yeah.
Searle Disc for your levitation
Yeah.
discs.
Well, it all deals with the premise of sacred geometry. It is, if you walk anywhere near that house, and we've had Indians come down from the reservation, we've had people go around the house. I can't even explain it to you. It's just different, and you have to experience it to know what I'm talking about. But in sacred geometry, when things are resonating, and crystals are always resonating, and you get in the center of that field, and you're resonating, and you allow yourself to feel the resonation, there's a tremendous awareness of what the correlation is between everything. Everything is paralleling somewhere, and this is paralleling at that level. Sir.
Yeah, Mr. Ring, do you know Larry Wilson? Was he involved in any of this that you know of?
Who was that?
Larry Wilson.
No, I don't know.
Because he was one of the scientists that was working on the project with Otis T. Carr.
I don't know the name. I've known several people. In fact, there's only about 3 or 4 of us alive. One of them tomorrow that will be speaking, Jim Murray, worked with Carr. I worked with Carr. There's Arthur Matthews just died. He worked with Carr. And there's another person by the name of George Freebot that still has some of the original Utrons that we used in the craft. And there's only 3 or 4 of us.
Well, the counter-rotating disc was invented by Larry Wilson when he was working for Lear Aircraft. And the story you told about the craft turning to jelly, Larry actually had this happen. He was demonstrating it to Old Man Lear, who was the inventor of the Lear aircraft, and that's what happened to the thing, is that they spun the thing up, and once the outer periphery of these magnetic discs reached the velocity of the Earth, it lifted off the ground and turned to this weird jelly. And they tried analyzing the jelly, and it was they could never figure it out. But the original design of those counter-rotating discs was from Larry Wilson, and I knew him personally.
I'll be darned.
And he showed me one of the systems that he had developed from that.
Wow. Well, I'd like to talk to you later about that. I wasn't familiar with him. We had one disc, the second disc that I worked on in the shop, completely and totally disappear. It went beyond the frequency that I had my hand in it, and this thing just went like this, and it went. And Carr came over and said, "Don't worry, boys." And we asked him where it went. He said, "It might have landed on somebody's table. We don't know where it went, but that's teleportation." And he says, "That's just, dimensions are only insights away. And when you understand who and what you are as energy, you can see through dimensions. You can see and understand what dimensions are. They're infinite in length and breadth and everything." So, I'm sorry.
I was just curious, is it in the literature or on the CDs that you have what material the Utrons were made out of?
Is there any literature about the materials that
Yeah, I was just curious what material the Utron was made out of.
Well, yeah, I can tell you I think it's, because it's been quite a while, but I think it's either T6, I'm pretty sure it's T6 aluminum. There's a T6
Okay.
and there's a T7.
Oh, okay.
And we use T6 aluminum.
For the outside of the craft. Okay, and so that's a hollow then?
No, we had all kinds. We had hollow and we had solid. I was going to bring a solid one here with me, and I couldn't find it. It's around my house somewhere with my junk, but I had a nice one I was going to show you, and that one's solid. But I've got some hollow ones too that they come apart because we were experimenting with different things. We were at one time using mercury and stuff like that, but we found that wasn't necessary.
Okay, thanks, Ralph.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm always looking for things that I can duplicate, and that thing you said about Mr. Blood intrigues me a lot. Are there plans or anything for Mr. Blood's little motor that was lighting up lights?
Okay, I heard part of that. I'm sorry.
I'd love to try and build things.
Oh, you want to build a spaceship?
I'd like to build that thing he said that could light up a bunch of lights.
The one with the lights?
Yeah, Mr. Blood's magnetic motor with 2 counter-rotating
Oh, yeah,
discs.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if I can get his permission, I will give you his phone number. He's in Hawaii.
Okay.
And we're trying to keep things kind of quiet over there. We don't want a lot of, because over there the rules and regulations are different than here. Here, if you start building an outhouse that looks different from the guy next door, they come in and want to change it. They want you to build the same thing. So that's why we're in Hawaii, and they're very, very receptive to what we're trying to do. But his name is Bob Blood, and I'll give you I'll get his permission, and you can talk to him in person. And
Okay.
I'm sure if the group that we're involved with now, if it's okay with him, I'm sure he'll be glad to. He wants to spread the
I'll get with you then.
information. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm very fascinated with a lot of your ideas. And the idea of having a house that not only levitates but can be invisible is a big plus. Matter of fact, it would make an excellent RV as well.
It sure would.
And my question is about the crystal generator that you said you built that generated electricity. Was it a usable quantity of electricity? And
Well, the crystal generated, well, I guess you could say eventually it came out as electricity, but it was frequencies, it was vibrations of energy fields. It's similar to, you know, in the old days, they used to have these vibrating beds, or they got vibrators for your back and stuff. It's just vibrations.
Yeah.
And when you have them in a cavity, when you vibrate anything in a cavity, it's like a Tesla coil, only it steps up 10 times stronger. It becomes very, very, very strong when you resonate anything in a cavity. And that's in your human vessel. If you get an idea and you forget the brain, as I mentioned before, it's not that hard to do. You get an idea and you start kicking it back and forth. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You'll find that you've already done it before you realize what you've done.
I want to
It works
build a
that fast.
generator of some kind that will generate power enough for my house without using a solar is very expensive.
Well, like the conventional stuff now, you know, they're breaking through on all levels, including solar. They've got a 3 minutes, okay. They've got a paint now that you can paint your car, your house. It's you can go on the internet and type in solar energy or go to free energy, and because they've got a lot of information on there. And go down to this liquid solar. There's no more sand involved. There's no more cutting. You know, it's cheap, very, very cheap. And they're trying to get it out so that to the public, so that we can paint our homes and our houses and things with it. You know.
Well, I'm glad to see anybody doing any advanced work, you know, and I think Peter Lindemann is supposed to maybe have an advanced version of a motor that may be useful for that purpose as well.
You're going to see one tomorrow morning. My friend and compadre, Jim Murray, I don't think he's here yet, is going to show you a motor, or he's going to show you at least a film of the motor that he presented. It puts out a lot more energy than it takes to operate it.
Well,
And he was the one that
wonderful.
worked with
I look forward
Tesla.
to that, and also I look forward to that day when I can have an invisible house. Let the IRS try to repo that one.
It's not as hard as you think. It's really simple. It's just a matter of getting the hang of it. Okay, I guess I'm done. Thanks for everybody. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.